Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Here today with our first of two videos to talk about the chemical reaction of photosynthesis that happens with autotrophs, whose entire purpose of photosynthesis is to convert light energy into stored chemical energy in the form of glucose. All right. So this is our first of two videos because today I want to talk a little bit about some of the big picture stuff. Kind of some basics about what goes into the reaction, reactants, what are the products, and some of the major contributors that allow that reactants to make that products. Some vocabulary as well. The second video will be in more detail about the actual chemical reaction itself and the different parts of it going forward. All right, so let's start with the very, very beginning. All right, the whole purpose of photosynthesis is to take that light energy and eventually turn it into stored chemical energy in the form of glucose. All right, so that glucose can then be used, its chemical energy, for ATP, and that ATP can be used as usable energy for the cell. So this is all about how the cell is going to get its energy. So the whole goal right here, so I'm at this picture here, we're going to fill it in this first part. All right, so the whole goal here is my glucose glucose molecule. It is made up of several atoms. All right, it's made up of 6 carbons, 12 hydrogens, and 6 oxygens. So that's what I need. That's the stuff or the atoms I need to create my glucose. All right. And so we're going to talk a little bit about what we can do to get that glucose molecule to do that. All right. Considering, especially since the only atom or molecules that we're using to build these is we need atoms of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and the resources we have to do this are carbon dioxide, which is a carbon double bonded to 2 different oxygens, right? And to help make this, we have water, right? So we have our carbon dioxide and water. Let me get myself some more space here. Stand. All right. So from these 2 molecules, I have my carbons I need, I have my hydrogens I need, and both of them give me the oxygens I need. All right. These building blocks here, but I need 6 carbons. Well, this was only 1 carbon here. I can't take this 1 carbon and make it into a glucose. And so I'm going to need several different carbon dioxides to make this happen, right? Not just 1 carbon dioxide. I need 6 of them, but they're going to be carbon dioxide, so the oxygens are going to come along with it. Those oxygens are double bonded to those oxygens, which means it's 2 bonds. All right, so now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 carbons. I got enough carbons now to make my glucose atom. All right, now for my hydrogens, all right, I can get my hydrogens from my water. I have 2 of them already, which means I need 10 more, right? So the question is, how many more water molecules I'm going to need to make this happen? The answer is I need 5 more for a total of 6. Right? And each one's going to have oxygen with the 2 hydrogens. All right, so now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 waters, but I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 hydrogens. All right, so far if I put my 6 carbon dioxides and my 6 waters together, I have enough carbons and enough hydrogens now, enough stuff to make my glucose molecule. All right, so now what about oxygens? I need 6. Well, I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Well, I definitely have enough oxygen atoms. In fact, I have too many. We'll have to come back to this. I have an extra I have an extra 12 oxygen molecules because I only need 6. I made 18. So just to get the right number of carbons and oxygens, or carbons and hydrogens, I needed to use 6 carbon dioxides. All right, I had to use 6 waters. And use those together to make my 1 glucose. All right, so I had to use all that stuff. I had to break it apart so that I could make it into my glucose atom. All right, but as I said before, I now have extra oxygens. Law of conservation of matter says if I end with 6 carbons, I had to start with 6 carbons. If I start with 12 hydrogens, I have to end with 12 hydrogens. And if I start with 18 oxygens, I have to end with 18. Only 6 of them have been used. And oxygen is what we call a diatomic molecule, which means it always bonds to itself. All right? So an oxygen is never going to just be by itself like that. It will double bond to another oxygen. Right? So there's 2 oxygens right there. But I've used 12 of them. I have 12 of them left over. So I actually double oxygens, double bonded to itself. I have the 6 in here, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. So 6 carbon dioxides, 6 waters made the ingredients to make 1 glucose and 6 oxygen molecules. All right. So that's just a little bit about the conversation of how we can take the amount of the stuff we need to make the molecules that we need. All right. So I'm going to switch it over here. All right, to my other board. All right, where we can talk a little bit more about the anatomy and the other parts of a plant cell that we need to have this process reaction happen. So the goal is being photosynthesis. All right. Again, let's think about what's going into the reaction, what's coming out of the reaction, and what are the major players in that reaction? What we're doing the process. All right. So let's say I have my beautiful picture of a leaf here. Leaf is made up of plant cells. All right. Those plant cells have that boxy shape. They are stacked together. All right. There's a little opening right here, which we'll talk about in a moment. All right. We're going to talk a little bit about that opening in a moment. All right. And if I zoom in a little bit more, I have my plant cell that has its nucleus, its large vacuole, and of course, our chloroplast. All right. All right, that chloroplast is that place where that photosynthesis is taking place. All right, it's in that organelle of the chloroplast. And we're going to talk in the next video a little more about that chloroplast. That's got these stacks inside of it. We'll talk more about those in a moment. But one thing that chloroplast has is something extremely important. It's filled with something called chlorophyll. All right, chlorophyll. All right, and what that is, it's a pigment, which is a type of molecule that absorbs light. All right, it's a pigment, and that chloroplast is filled with this pigment called chlorophyll, and its job is to absorb light energy. And so we're going to come back to that one as well. We're going to talk a little bit about that major role in there. All right, so as we kind of talked about in our previous board over there, all right? In this case here, the things that are going in here are reactants, all right? The amount of stuff we need to make this happen, all right, is we need to have our 6 carbon dioxides. Plus 6 waters. All right, and both of these are able to enter the cell. All right, both of these are gases, so this would be actually water vapor a lot of times, and this is obviously carbon dioxide at room temperature is a gas, all right, is through these little openings right here, all right, that we find on that leaf cell. There's these little openings here called the stomata or the stoma, all right? All right, so these right here, all right, they enter the leaf by the stomata. So what will happen a lot of times is if it starts getting really hot out, to prevent plants from losing through evaporation their water, is they will close that stomata. It's literally like a pore, right? And so we have these two cells here, what we call guard cells, right? And what they do is they kind of open up and allow water and gas to come through them, carbon dioxide, and then they can kind of close up to kind of close that pore to make sure that those plants don't lose any water if they're not trying to gain any more water. All right. So we have our reactants of carbon dioxide and waters to create or yield our products of 1-glucose, all right, and 6 oxygens. That's those leftovers. Now that oxygen can either be stored and used by that plant cell for the second half of this reaction called cellular respiration, or that oxygen, depending on that stomata and depending on the concentration, that when that stoma opens, oxygen can then be released outside. That stomata allows for gases to go in and out of the cell, or out of those leaves, or out of those leaves. All right, they are made up of what we call guard cells. All right, and so they open up and gas can come in or gas can come out, either the carbon dioxide, water, and oxygen. But now we have our glucose, right? Because this was the whole big picture, was to be able to make this glucose. Right? That was the main purpose of being able to do this. So we have our reactants, we have our products. But we can't do this without we need something to get this reaction going. All right. I have oxygen, carbon dioxide in this room right now. I have water in this room right now. I'm not just breathing in a bunch of glucose. All right, because we need something to activate this energy or this reaction. We need something to get this going, or what we talk about activation energy. Something to make this happen, and that is light energy. All right, that light energy is going to be our activation energy that allows for the cell for this reaction to take place. So we take our 6 carbon dioxides and water, that's our stuff. All right, and we take our light energy, that's the energy we needed to rearrange this stuff to create glucose and oxygen molecules in the chloroplast. All right, and that light energy is absorbed by the pigment chlorophyll. All right, that chlorophyll absorbs the light. Absorbs light energy. All right, so that's going to be pretty much do it right there. That's kind of the big picture here. Gases enter through the stomata. Yeah, I've got all that. All right, so this video is getting kind of long already. So, all right, so that's just kind of the big picture, thinking about what goes into the reaction, what comes out of the reaction, what's the role of the stomata, the chloroplast, the chlorophyll. Right? You need to be able to answer those questions. If you don't, go back and watch it again or find those gaps. All right? If you didn't hear those questions, go back 10 seconds and listen to those questions again. All right, otherwise, that's going to be it for today. Thank you very much. Good luck, and may the science be with you.